usually goes. Let's fix my chat. There we go. So I decided to go back into this guy. Don't know what picture yet, but there are so many really ones in here. Apparently somewhere along the way I broke a nail. That's par for the course. Let's see. I love the sunflower pictures, but that's not the vibe I'm feeling today. Let's see. I really do like this picture. I don't know that I want to do it today, but I do love this picture. This is a maybe. Let's see. I had my idea all figured out until I got a wonderful reminder that this is in fact an AI coloring book. There's what we did last week. Was it last week or a couple days ago? I don't remember exactly. This is a maybe. But I think the funniest, I was going to do this picture. And then I really got to looking at it. And it is so obviously AI that I really just had a good hard laugh at it. The longer you look, the worse it gets. So we will not be doing that one. Ooh, I think we found our one to do though. I think we're going to do this one. Because I do like the face in the garden. I think that is such a neat approach. And we can really have some fun with that. Let's see, and I think we're going to start with that. And if that's not dark enough, we can always come back with other tones. Though that made me light enough that even I can't tell it's got color in there. So we're going to stick that aside. And I have a better one around here somewhere. Peach Puff. That's the one I usually use when I'm doing a skin tone. But my partner and I were laughing pretty hard when we actually looked at that unicorn picture, which, for those of you who were not here a few seconds ago, this is what happens when you buy an AI-created coloring book. Yeah, so we won't be doing that picture, but we may pull it up occasionally to laugh at the placement of the unicorn's horn. He's a very special unicorn. But as I've said a few times, I want to say I bought this coloring book on Temu. Temu, however you're supposed to say that word. So it is a case of you get what you pay for. In this case, I spent a little bit of money and got a lot of entertainment. So it's kind of worth it. It happens. And you kind of get a couple of choices. You can either be mad about it or you can find it funny. In my case, I find it absolutely hilarious because there's enough good pictures that, I mean, am I really going to be mad about one really bad one? I mean, I'm a little bit miffed because I did want to do that picture, but not enough to really throw a fit over it or anything. Her eye's a little wonked out there, but that's all right. We can work around that. Let's see. Actually, you know what? I think we're going to give her really pretty green eyes since she's growing out of a garden. Seems appropriate, doesn't it? I was going to do blue, but green just feels so much more appropriate. And we're going to just kind of create for this eye because It's a little sideways. And maybe she just has a wonky eye. Maybe that's just who she is. You never know. But we're not stressing over it because it is a coloring book. And sometimes things are just going to be a little bit odd. And that's okay too. We're just going to enjoy the fact that it is a pretty picture. We're also not going to fuss about the fact that my lighting is being goofy again, because there's no point in that either. Give her just a hint of tone there and there. And we are one part done. And the fun part is how much of this is hair and how much of it is like weeds and stuff like that. I feel like this is a flower and then this is hair, and I think those are just, well, we'll figure it out as we go. I am going to do this kind of shell looking thing, this color. We're going to call it a barrette because I don't know what else to call it. And it kind of looks like it's holding the petals. So, let's see. Actually, I want a nice deep purple for these petals. There we go. When you pay like $1 and change for a book, you don't fuss too much over perfection. Not if you have much sense anyway. I actually have quite a few that have turned out to be AI. There's one that I'm quite unthrilled at the fact because it was not a cheap book, but most of these guys I bought on really inexpensive means, so we're not going to fuss too much. But I do enjoy the garden scenes, and I will be looking for more books with them. I really prefer when I have an artist that I can actually credit with the artwork. Like you can, if you look back, I have quite a few times that I've done drawings by Selena Fenich. And I do very, very much love coloring her work because it is just incredible. I think she's got more talent in her pinky than most of us have in our whole bodies. And I respect the heck out of that. But I don't have a lot of books where I can credit the artist. We're working on that, though. There we go. We have a beginning. And I think I am going to move away from working on her just for the moment. Just because there's so many other things I want to play with. So I actually love being able to do like 3 dozen different shades of green. It just makes me happy. I don't know why. I think it's just such a rich color. And it comes in so many variations. It's not really my favorite color, but It is a color I enjoy using a great deal. There we go. My Q&A sticker suggestion is, do you eat bread ends? That's an interesting one. I don't call them bread ends, I call them heels, and yes, I will eat them. It's an interesting thing, the questions they pop up to try and get the chat moving. And I guess in a pinch, it does come in handy to have like a random topic pop up every so often. I do wish they could figure out how to make it kind of fit in context with what we're doing a little bit better. But it is a new thing, and it is something that I'm sure they're working with. So I've never pinned one in. Maybe next time one pops up, I'll just post it just to see what happens in the chat, because why not? It's never a bad idea to try something a little bit different, is it? Now, of course, that I've brought it to attention a little bit harder, it'll be forever before it pops another one up. So that's my luck. And I know there's a way I could turn those off. I actually actively choose not to. Because sometimes they do give me an extra little topic. Sometimes they just crack me up because I think what they're asking is funny. And sometimes I do just completely ignore their presence. It just depends on the day and what the question is. But I am happy to have, for the most part, my voice back. It does do wonky things every so often, but for as long as I was sick, and as long as my voice just would not come out without sounding ridiculous, I'm happy. I got it back. I can actually talk and not sound absolutely ridiculous or squeaky. The squeaking was fun. Pardon me as I'm looking through the screen, through my camera, to see if the pencil is as dull as it feels like it is. I am going to sharpen it, just not yet. I don't want to change the tone in the middle of what I'm doing, if that makes any sense. And believe it or not, sharpening the pencil does change the way the color comes out. Right. These guys are going to get on my nerves today. I'll stick them up there where they're not in my way, but still easily accessible if I realize I need one of them. As is generally the need when doing AI photos, there are times where I will be coloring kind of a mesh of nonsense and just trying to make it look like something. That's just kind of part and parcel of the whole AI thing. Sometimes their pictures are really, really good. Sometimes they're not. It is what it is. And you kind of just go with it. If anybody has any suggestions for coloring books you think I would like, I would love to hear them. That is definitely something I'm always interested in. There's not really a style I don't like doing except maybe landscapes. And that's just because, hello, how are you doing today? And that is, the landscape problem is simply, as long as I'm stuck using my phone, I am stuck in the portrait type of, I'm doing well. I am stuck in the portrait style, up and down live. So landscapes are a little bit hard to do. But that's probably about the only one I wouldn't want to do. If I get to where I'm using something other than my phone to do them, that might open that up to being a possibility. We're slowly but surely getting the leaves done. Kind of wonder what the idea was on this one. If it was supposed to be a face like growing, or if she's hiding in the flowers for some reason or another. I'm not sure, but I do kind of like the look. So we're not going to overthink it too hard, and we're just going to enjoy the fact that it is a neat picture. And this is, once again, one of those spots where we're just kind of try to create some sense out of what we're seeing. Hello, how are we doing today? I am well. I'm better than I've been in a while. I've been fighting a really nasty cold. And I've almost completely got my voice back, so I am happy. I have not sounded like myself all week long. Yesterday evening, I started getting it back a little bit, which always makes me excited. Because not only do I do my lives where I'm pretty much chattering nonstop for half an hour to an hour at a time, I also work retail, and I have to go to work tomorrow. And it is really hard to work retail when you don't have a voice. There we go. I think I'm going to color more things green because I just realized that there are, in fact, more leaves that I did not do yet. I am getting tired of green. I do enjoy the color, but I'm ready to color in other shades, if that makes any sense. And how did a colored pencil create the look of a marker that's running out of ink? That is interesting. Never had that happen quite like that before. The variation in tone when it was all the same pressure as I've not had a pencil do that to me before. That was interesting. I have a lot of colored pencils, and occasionally there's one I don't end up using a whole lot. I think this is one of those. It does feel like the lead is a little bit softer than some of the others I've used. So that may be how we got some variation in color there. Now it's giving me a nice, pretty even tone, though. Is it just needed to wake up a little bit. Maybe it's been sitting in the box a little too long. Let's see. We're going to try a Q&A sticker just because we can. Maybe. Answer. Okay. What is a rule made to be broken? What did I do here? How do I don't know what I did. It won't go away. So I think a rule that's made to be broken would be no elbows on the table. I don't know if... How do I make you... There we go. Okay. That was an oops. I was not trying to do that. I thought it was just going to pop up a little sticker and ask the chat a question. Lessons are being learned as we speak. Stuff happens. I think there will come a time when I do a Q&A style. Today is not that day. But I am very tired of coloring things in green. So we're going to add some color to this page very, very quickly. Let's start with some bubblegum pink. That is quite literally the name of this color. They do call it bubblegum pink. So it's a very nice, pretty, soft pink, and I am definitely a fan. There we go. Now, just for giggles, we're going to come in and we're going to go light with an orange to color the center part. And kind of these pieces that kind of start to go up a little bit. And just to give this flower a little bit of a two-tone. And yeah, I actually like that. I am happy with that. I am happy to that, to the extent I think we're going to do the other two that look the same kind of way. I'm going to have to sharpen you to get this edge that I want. There we go. We're making progress. She's not nearly as plain as it was when we started. And now I have the space to do what I wanted to do there. I'm a big fan of using the side of the pencil when I want to do a large area the same color. It just creates a nice, broad, very light tone. But if you're not careful, you can accidentally put lines in things. We want to overlap that area just a little bit. The pink and the orange need to be friends. They don't need to be like completely combined, but they do need to be friends. And I do apologize if my voice does start to cut out on me. There's not much I can do about that. As I've said a few times, I was quite sick for quite some time, and now I'm finally getting past it. And if you were wondering, no, the coffee is not just for looks. I do actually drink that. When I first started, I tried to keep it off camera, but it's kind of goofy to put your coffee out of reach. And I have a whole bunch of silly and fun coffee mugs, so I figured we'll just make it part of the whole deal. And I did notice some more leaves that I missed up here, but that's okay. Here we go. Now we have a whole bunch of pink. I am going to turn this kind of messy flower-ish looking thing here yellow. I do that quite a lot. I will use what they give me and I'll try to define it as much as I can. Make it actually look like something. Then there's some things that I will just kind of ignore and not try to figure out what they're supposed to be, like these things hanging down back there. Because some things don't make much sense. Unless there may be fairies on swings. I guess that could be an answer. We could call them fairies on swings. Love to hear some theories if anybody has one. What do we think those are? This is another case of I am trying to make it look like something. I gotta have at least one big blue flower. Just would not be one of my coloring pages if I did not have one big blue thing. It's just kind of part of who I am. Blue is by far my favorite color. There's not many versions of it that I don't like. There we go. I'm going to take a different orange for his center. It's more of a soft. I think we're going to do this little yellow guy up here and this little yellow guy up here as well. Let's see. Excuse me. Let's grab a random green. Knock these leaves that I missed out. There we go. I have almost hit my 30-minute mark. That is the absolute minimum amount of time I try to do a live for, because it gives people time to pop in, say hello, see if they're interested in what I'm doing. It's never a bad idea to give people a few minutes like that. Actually make this guy nice and bright orange because we can. It doesn't work if you try to color with the back of the pencil, does it? I mean, I could sharpen the back of the pencil. That would work. Actually have a few that keep breaking on me that might actually be an answer. And I am just filling in a few spots that I missed so that they're not just gaping holes that make no sense. And I think before we do the background, we're going to do her hair, which I love using a gold for a blonde tone, just because it gives a little bit more of a hair feel than like a straight yellow or orange or red, or playing with a whole bunch of browns to get the tone. And the gold has just enough of a shimmer. It picks up the light just right to give it kind of that feel. Here we go. We are going to just call that hair there. And this is one we're not aiming for perfection. Perfection is kind of impossible. But we are aiming to make it look somewhat reasonably believable, if that makes any sense. There we go. Let's do something with these leafy looking things coming out of her head. I need a point. There we go. Now, I've said many, many times, I don't sharpen in front of the camera, not because I'm trying to hide it, but because I don't want pencil shavings all over my page. And my pencil sharpener is just this little bitty thing. I am fairly certain it started its life as an eyeliner sharpener, but I really don't wear makeup, so it ended up in my colored pencils instead. I am capable of wearing makeup. I just don't enjoy it, so I don't tend to do it all that often. I love watching other people do their makeup. It's just a whole different thing when I'm trying to do it on me. It's not as much fun. And it's just not something I really feel the need for most of the time. I will wear it if the occasion calls for it, but that's about it. A lot of times, if I can escape it, I do. This is another case of let's make this make some kind of sense. As I said before, I am not touching those things. I'm not sure what they're supposed to be. But we will give these tree-looking things here a little bit of color. Because trees do make sense to the picture, so we're okay with that. I'm just using that brown to fill in some of this blank space down here. And then we're going to come over here and kind of do the same thing. It looks like it might come out here. We'll do that one a little bit lighter. It's just kind of almost a suggestion of a branch coming out here. So we're going to just give it a little bit of color. There we go. And I'd still love to know, even if you're watching this later and you come back in the comments, I'd love to hear opinions on what those things coming down are supposed to be. Because I really am just drawing a blank other than, like, maybe fairies on swings or something silly like that. Or she's not, doesn't look like she's in a cave, so they wouldn't be stalactites. Had to stop and think. But I think we have just about gotten our way to done with this one. So I am going to go ahead and stop there. And I am happy with how this actually did come out. So I won't be back on until Monday. Because I am headed into my weekend of working. But I will try and be close to on time on Monday. And I will talk to you guys next time.